Good evening and a very warm welcome to our main news bulletin at 19:30 on Camnet TV. Let's look at the top stories. Lusaka City Council at loggerheads with mobile money booth operators. Government announces measures to avoid prison breaks. The Japanese government gives Zambia $42 million to upgrade health centers on the COPPERBELT. In our international headlines, million tons of partially radioactive waste air up fear in Niger. And in sports, Zambia under 23 to take on Niger in a friendly match. We have the details shortly.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet television, not just another channel.
Thank you so much for joining us to present the news. My name is Louisiana Lupumbwe. Residents of Kamwala South in Lusaka have urged the government to prioritize drainage construction in Kawata constituency now that the rainy season is coming to an end in order to prevent flooding. One of the residents, Edson Urenda, notes that the area has been adversely affected by floods caused by heavy rains, which has in turn compromised water safety as there have been both sewer and water pipe leakages in the area. The residents were speaking when the Rusango University Alumni Association visited Kamwala South to distribute 1,320 bottles of chlorine to residents. Details are in this report.
Reports of waterborne diseases like diarrhea, typhoid and dysentery have been rife in Zambia during the 2022-2023 rain season, a factor which has been attributed to heavy flooding, leading to a compromise of the water system, as some citizens depend on shallow wells for water, while others live in communities that have been experiencing sewer and water pipe leakages, a situation which has led to water contamination. The flooding has also been attributed to many of these areas lacking drainage systems, meaning that water remains stagnant as it has nowhere to go. With the country at the tail end of the rain season, concerned community members have called for the construction of drainages ahead of the next rain season. They were speaking to Camnet News when the Rusango University Alumni Association visited the community Thursday afternoon to give out bottles of chlorine to affected members as one way of helping in combating waterborne diseases.
Na drainage ijasiri fast na mamoto kakavuta kuongena mwaiti pulista papata
mpiti funa bati monzere ko ma roads bachite ko ma drainage because manzi yazura mu manyumba fulu ndipenda kukata bwino mufulu manzi mu manyumba bantu banakuka nokuka bena mu manyumba chifukwa cha manzi kuzura
aya makrorini sitizagulisa dzapasa ko bena mu neighbors kai bena ngusibalipo baenda ku manchito bena ngoenda ogulisa.
In adding his voice on the prevailing problem, Rusango University Alumni Association President Konkara Strongo knows that stakeholders need to work in collaboration in terms of national disaster to preserve lives.
Not long ago, the president also passed through this particular community, and knowing the impact of a flooding situation and, of course, understanding the disease burden as it is in Lusaka, whenever we have any outbreak, we know that Lusaka is the epicenter or the place where most people are affected. We decided that we could partner in this particular locality so that we are able to suppress any diarrheal diseases by donating this particular chlorine. We understand that the use of chlorine itself is not the only measure that can be used to suppress disease, especially diarrheal diseases. Therefore, we encourage community members to be able to continue with other preventive measures.
A public health expert has also called on community members to desist from vandalizing drainages through indiscriminate waste disposal once they are constructed.
If I change how I behave today, I don't throw waste anyhow. I take my waste to the right places. Waste is collected at the right time. It's all a way of trying to avoid people having these diarrheal diseases.
It is expected that the gesture will result in better home water treatment by community members and reduce on incidence of waterborne diseases. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Some booth operators in Lusaka have expressed concern over the removal of their booths that were placed around the civic center without their consent. Now they have explained to Camnet News that the action by the Lusaka City Council has left their booths destroyed. The affected parties have since called on the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development to look into the matter, as mobile money service provision is their only means of survival. We have details in this report.
The Lusaka City Council has once again graced vendors with their abrupt operations, which have continued to leave many people in despair. Thursday, 16th March 2023, a team of Lusaka City Council police swung into action and removed 35 booths, stating that they were illegally erected around the civic center area. But the booth operators have lamented to Camnet TV News that the statement issued by the Lusaka City Council is based on false allegations, further stating that the affected booth operators have been paying to the council, thereby making their stay not illegal.
All over the sudden, we found that the booth have been removed without telling us any reasons to say why the booth were being removed. Then, according to the statement which the council published, they said that the booth were got no license, were got no permits, were operating illegal. But the fact is that all the booth operators who are here have got licenses, we've got permits. So we don't know the reason why the booth have been removed.
They say that the tendency of the Lusaka City Council to conduct operations without the knowledge of the people is not a good one, as it disturbs their day-to-day activities.
halani not pasa report iliyonse tichichokepo lero tibwera tapeza mabuti batipwanyira na bintu venza mukati vonse batibera so pano tipakwa ntinga peleke vana kutoko metingaende dililira kulimwe wa president mzatisunga bwanji mwamene mzatisunga bwanji tina vana vamasiye tisunga mabantu kumanyumba tizatabira kutwa metizenda tisebenzele pakuti mtu zati 100 meters simfuna kutuona pafupi na civic center ni kutwa metizenda tikasebenzele.
They have since called on to the government to look into the matter quickly, further stating that the council's actions will leave many people jobless, hence increasing poverty.
What we want is that the president has been encouraging us to small entrepreneurship to work, so that we should help the government to eradicate poverty. As you are trying by all means to eradicate poverty, but they are coming and disturbing us. Is this what we voted? And yet, there's some people now who are the relevant authority which they are using, the council have been, they have been mocking us around that this is the change we wanted. But when we call our leaders to tell them they are mocking us, they say, no, just because we have a problem, that's not true. But these people, they have been mocking us, and this is the change we wanted. We wanted change so that we should have a free trading press. We should know what it is, what it means to be a Zambian. But
meanwhile, efforts to get a comment from the local authority proved futile, as the acting public relations manager Bupe Kabuswe was busy. Beatrice Chabaya, Camnet News, Lusaka.
United Party for National Development, UPND Secretary General Batuka Imenda has called for peace ahead of the 3 upcoming ward by-elections slated for 20th April 2023 in Central, COPPERBELT and Northern Province. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Imenda says Zambia should be allowed to enjoy its democracy, noting that the acts of political violence from various political parties should not be entertained. Tension has been rising in the country since Youth Day celebrations on 12 March 2023 when members of the former ruling Patriotic Front PF collided with supporters of the ruling UPND, leaving many injured. We have details in this report.
While political tension between the major political parties in Zambia, namely the Patriotic Front PF and the United Party for National Development UPND, seem to have died down after the 2021 general elections, concerns of a potential collision have risen in the country after the two parties collided on the COPPERBELT province on Youth Day and have since taken to various media platforms, issuing threats against each other. With the upcoming council award by-elections in 3 provinces, namely on the COPPERBELT, in Central Province and Northern Province, concerns of peace have risen. The by-elections are set to be held in Muchinda ward of Serenje Town Council, Chitimukulu ward of Chililawombwe Town Council, and Katilia ward of Lupososhi Town Council, and are being contested by the ruling UPND, the PF, the Leadership Movement Party, the Socialist Party, and the Economic Front. Speaking in Muchinda ward of Serenje district during nomination day, UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda has re-echoed calls for peace.
To all the parties that are participating, please let us maintain peace. We are one and the same people. These boys and girls that are gathered here come from the same villages. The election will come and go, but these people will remain. So do not want to create enmity amongst the young ones who are here. After all, whatever we are doing it for and on their behalf.
Meanwhile, Muchinda ward candidates from the UPND, PF, and the Socialist Party have expressed confidence in scooping the seats.
People have realized that there is we cannot develop this community when we are in the opposition. So people want to change. No wonder they've even from the supporters, you can see that people have come in numbers to support us. Yes, the support is so nice.
My expectation was that I thought maybe there will be conflict during my nomination, but God has helped me.
Residents of Muchinda ward in Serenje district have also called for peace, stating that the focus of candidates should be on telling messages of how they plan to promote development at local level.
na mulirima primary school pota pa ba malaiti lero di school likalamba lile foi kwa malaiti kumusebo kula ku roadside kwa le business ya kusana lero business imbita ile endo mlando wa okwa bula malaiti
ndefo abatukusheko chipatala chesu chibe hospital antushira bombela abantu abengi sana nomba mabed tamwaba na mattress tamwaba na mablanket.
So inende kwa kufia fertilizer moni fertilizer moni kwa fertilizer ibili fertilizer so fertilizer bane wondi mulimi na nyafama na kulira mwaka unda mtu wako limuni mwaka unda fertilizer yale kwa 16 8 fidafi na mwa fertilizer na magala iche.
The by-elections have come about after deaths and resignations from councillors from the UPND and PF in the 3 wards and are slated for 20th April 2023. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News.
Home Affairs and Internal Security Minister Jack Mwimbu has dispelled media reports that there was a shooting at the Mwembeshi Correctional Facility during the prison break incident. Mr. Mwimbu has also disclosed that abductors of Pamela Chisumba and others have not escaped from the new Mwembeshi Correctional Facility. And Mr. Mwimbu says the 2 abductors, Joseph Mlenga Matthews Kaonga are currently in the correctional facility. He says investigative wings are still on a manhunt for one of the suspects who is connected to the abduction case. He says measures have since been put in place to avoid prison breaks.
In the abduction case are classified as high risk, and the ministry through the Zambia Correctional Service has been applying appropriate measures consistent with the control and management of high-risk inmates. You may wish to know that inmates classified as high risk also pose a high threat of flight. Madam Speaker, the Zambia Correctional Service has put in place measures to disrupt and thwart attempts to escape lawful custody. The following are some of the measures being implemented. 1, enhanced intelligence gathering. 2, establishment of rapid escape and the recapture task force. 3, stern actions for officers who through complacency, negligence, or otherwise contribute to security breach. 4, putting in place a policy of promotion for officers who through personal commitment, dedication, and courage successfully recapture any escapee, particularly those who have been at large for a long time. And 5, putting in place a whistleblower policy and monetary rewards to informers who avail information leading to successful recapture of escapees.
The Alliance for Accountability Advocates, has questioned the relevance of integrity committees at various public institutions amid its reports of high bribery incidents in the country. Speaking to Camnet News, Alliance Executive Director Chilufya Luchembe notes that there is need to reform these committees as one way of increasing transparency and gaining public confidence. Mr. Luchembe states that from the onset, those who sit on these committees should be made public and the method of selecting them made them known. Now, according to the 2022 Zambia Bribes Payers Index released by Transparency International Zambia TIZ and the Anti-Corruption Commission, Zambia ranked highest in the public sector with the Ministry of Health ranking least, while the mining sector ranked the highest in the private sector, with the manufacturing sector ranking the least in this sector. The Bribes Payers Index is a measure of the chance of receiving or being asked for a bribe in exchange of a good or a service.
The improvement is 0.8, which is not much as we expected, with a lot of talk that is being done in this country on issues to do with fighting corruption, and which leads to issues also fighting the bribes that are paid or that are received by either service seekers and service providers. We take note that, of course, there is improvement in some sectors or some institutions, especially, for example, Zambia Police and other institutions. But I think there is more that should be needed, that should be done. It's the mechanism that the country has put in that are not effective. For example, when you talk about the integrity committees that are being created in different institutions, how are these integrity committees being constituted? Who will sit on this integrity committee? Who knows who is sitting on these integrity committees? And how transparent and open are they to the public, so that when I don't receive a service that I deserve to receive, I can quickly engage with this integrity committee and highlight such issues, and be able to hold someone who's answerable or who should be answerable to these issues that matter in our access to services in this country. So there is need to ensure that we continue providing effective information and make information public to the people, so that they are able to hold people that are given the responsibility to provide a service accountable.
The National Union of Public and Private Educators of Zambia, NUPEZ, says the remarks attributed to the Provincial Education Officer for Eastern Province that school head teachers whose schools have recorded poor results for 3 consecutive years must be demoted are very regrettable and insensitive. NOPE's General Secretary Nelson Mwale has warned that the union will not sit and watch its members being harassed by an officer who has not done his research. He says that the provincial education officer should just cancel the head teachers involved as well as provide them with the necessary materials needed to effectively deliver quality education. Meanwhile, the union welcomes a directive by the Minister of Education, Douglas Kalima, that all those who have retired from the service should be paid their repatriation fees so that they vacate the government houses they are still occupying in order to leave room for those who have no accommodation.
Make a mention that as a union we regret the conduct of the provincial education officer in the Eastern Province, where a directive has been given to the DEBs that every head teacher whose school has not performed very, very well must be demoted and brought back to a junior position. I think it's a very regrettable situation. Our head teachers are trying their best, and we are, as a union, we are not going to sit and allow them being humiliated by a PO possibly who has not done much of his research, because Eastern Province has been performing very, very well, and to subject our head teachers to humiliation as a union, we will not sit and watch that. Can these head teachers be simply cancelled? You know, where materials are lacking, can they be provided? Where teachers are lacking, can they be provided? Unlike humiliating, as the PO is putting it. And when you look at the statistics, you realize that compounds like Woodlands A here in Lusaka, Chibelo in Kablonga, Kablonga Boys, Munari, all these Lusaka schools, to just give them as an example, you find most of them are occupied by our brothers and sisters that have retired. A number of them have gotten their dues, but they're only remaining with repatriation allowance. I think, can this money be paid?
Minister of Water Development and Sanitation, Mike Mposha, says government is focusing on infrastructure development, maintenance, water quality monitoring, sanitation and hygiene promotion, as well as investment promotion in order to improve access to water supply and sanitation. Speaking at the first Troika meeting this year, the minister says this is in order to ensure effective and efficient implementation of programs that will benefit the majority of the Zambian people who have been facing challenges in accessing clean and safe water. Meanwhile, the cooperating partners represented by Germany Embassy Head of Development Cooperation, Bernard Trotner, have asked the Zambian government to explain its priority work packages in order for the cooperating partners to contribute in the best way possible to the ministry's efforts to develop the sector. Details are in this report.
Access to clean and safe drinking water has remained a challenge for most Zambians, especially those in densely populated areas as well as in the rural areas.
Datuata pa menshi fidana datubikire mokorodini shukuru ala so diarrhea pa so abantu balero ala diarrhea sana.
So mazi kutia kankhala yambiri at least mungazi caring eko. Manje peza ati mazi yachepa yativuta kocho samazi nikutali.
Yativuta diarrhea. To
that effect, players in the water sector have convened in Lusaka at the first Troika meeting in 2023 to share ideas on accelerating the implementation of programs in the water sector undertaken by the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation Services in conjunction with various stakeholders. Minister of Water Development and Sanitation Services, Mike Mposha, who officially opened the meeting, says the meeting provides an opportunity for Troika members to take stock of the progress made so far on various issues since the last Troika meeting that was held on 23rd June 2022.
Troika meeting also provides an opportunity for the ministry and various cooperating partners to interact and exchange information and, most importantly, agree on areas of focus. This is in order to ensure effective and efficient implementation of programs. Today's meeting, therefore, provides an opportunity for Troika members to take stock of the progress made so far on various issues since the last Troika meeting that was held on 23rd June 2022.
Meanwhile, the cooperating partners represented by Germany Embassy Head of Development Cooperation Bernard Treuter wants the Zambian government to explain its priority work packages in order for the cooperating partners to contribute in the best possible way to the ministry's effort to develop the sector.
The cooperating partners would like to understand the priority work packages of your government and ministry, Honourable Minister, so that we can contribute in the best possible way to the ministry's efforts to develop the sector. It is the government of Zambia and your ministry specifically that set the priorities and guiding principles for all stakeholders working in the water and sanitation sector. We believe that we can use these kind of meetings in order to create
and in order to enhance management and productive use of water resources and ensure national water security, the government says it is focusing on water harvesting, groundwater resource development, aquifer and water resource protection, inter- and intra-basin water transfer, transboundary water cooperation, and benefit sharing, as well as water resource management. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Japanese government has graced the Zambian government with an additional grant of $17 million United States dollars for upgrading some of the health centers on the COPPERBELT. Japanese ambassador to Zambia says this will bring the total amount of the grant for the project to $42 million to 42 million United States dollars. Mr. Kazoyuki says Japan had earlier in 2020 given Zambia approximately $25 million for the upgrade of Mushili Health Center in Ndola District and Chamboli Health Center in Kitwe District. He says the project aims to strengthen the Zambian health system and enable government to deal with infectious diseases. And Finance Minister Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwani says the Zambian government will install equipment at health centers in Chamboli and Mushili Township.
For this project, as Honorable Ambassador mentioned, Japan has provided grant assistance of approximately 41 million United States dollars. This project aims to upgrade the Mushili Health Center in Ndola District and Chamboli Health Center in Kitwe District to the district hospital by constructing the service building, including an outpatient department, medical wards, laboratory, and radiology department, and others.
There remains constraints in the sector, such as inadequate and obsolete medical equipment and supplies, and long distances to health centers. In this regard, this additional grant by Japan towards upgrading health centers to district hospitals in the COPPERBELT province will assist the government to adequately cater for primary health care needs of the people of Chamboli Township in Kitwe and the Mushili Township in Ndola.
Thank you so much for staying glued to Camnet TV main news. Just now we took our first set of commercials. When we get back, we have more local stories. Do join us shortly.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Thank you so much for staying on. We'll continue with the news. Now, Zambia Association of Manufacturers Vice President Chipego Zulu says that agro-processing has the quickest potential of accelerating and transforming the manufacturing sector in Zambia as it grows in particular. Agro-processing refers to the subsector of the manufacturing that benefits primary materials and intermediate goods from agriculture, fisheries and forestry-based sectors. Ms. Zulu has told Camnet TV News that a significant intervention in agro-processing is required to ensure accessibility for all manufacturers.
The quickest potential of accelerating and transforming the manufacturing sector in Zambia and its growth in particular. So when it comes to access to food testing labs, there's definitely a significant intervention that's required there to enhance accessibility for manufacturers. It must be noted that there are currently very few food testing labs in the country, and therefore as an association we do continue to lobby for increased availability and accessibility for manufacturers across all the provinces of Zambia. The benefits of this are quite obvious in the sense that you won't have to travel, for instance, or send your samples to Lusaka in particular to get your food items tested, and that would reduce costs first of all and create more opportunities for manufacturers in far-flung areas to have their samples tested and therefore get their product onto the market much quicker. So definitely an
Economist Kelvin Chisanga has underscored the need to find ways of making the bond market attractive. Finance Minister Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwani disclosed that the pressure currently mounting on the Zambian kwacha is a direct consequence of failure by the creditors to reach a conclusion on Zambia's debt. He explains that most of government budget financing comes from the selling of government treasury bonds, which are mostly owned by foreign nationals who are not investing in the Zambian bonds due to uncertainties. He has urged the government to speed the debt restructuring process in order to retain investor confidence.
Trying to say that yes, we can make the bond attractive also if we package it in such a way that it also becomes part of the negotiation process as well, as we are talking of this issue of restructuring as it stands right now. And much of what we can also do to remove ourselves from the current economic quagmire is by ensuring that we have transparency, accountability, and also flow information as is required in the economy. So what I would say now in the nutshell regarding the bond market is that we need to find ways and means making of bond market to be attractive, and also to ensure that we comply in terms of payment or in terms of leaving the payment. You know, there are also sentiment that we are actually being able to see that the bond market is not performing very well because the investors are fearing of what is happening. So it's also a cause for us to start speeding up the debt restructuring process so that we avoid the fatigue and the uncertainty that are surrounding with the economy. And much of what I would say now as the last point here is that we need to look at how best can we reposition ourselves in terms of debt contraction. Obviously, yes, the Parliament last year passed a bill to ensure that we get a hold of each and every debt contraction that we should be able to take or undertake through the Act of Parliament or having Parliament pass out. That is a progressive move.
The Chamber of Commerce and Industry in Western Province and its counterpart in the Zambezi region in neighboring Namibia have begun the process of entering into an agreement on various issues in the livestock sector. The planned agreement will encourage the exchange of livestock rearing ideas, addressing common diseases affecting livestock along the Zambia-Namibia border, and the drugs required to prevent and cure livestock diseases. Western Chamber of Commerce and Industry Regional Coordinator Fred Mulozi has disclosed this in an interview with Zanis in Mongo District. Mr. Mulozi says a delegation from Namibia visited the province for discussions regarding livestock and other issues. He said other issues which the delegation from Namibia had come for were plans to establish a cement factory in Western Province. Mr. Mulozi, however, said the deal for the Chamber of Commerce and Industry in the Western Province and Zambezi region was not clinched following confusion that occurred where some people invaded and illegally occupied his office. You are still watching Camnet TV main news. Just now we take our second and last set of commercials. When we get back, we have the rest of the stories in international and sports news. Keep watching.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet Television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet Television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. In international news, in Niger's northern region of Artlit, heaps of partially radioactive waste left from 4 decades of uranium mining dot the landscape. Now a plan by subsidiary Cominac and French uranium grand giant Orano is underway to secure the waste and avoid risk to health and the environment, but there are concerns. For these and other stories, here is a roundup of international news.
In Niger's northern town of Arlit, the uranium industry has long been a job provider, but it's become a source of concern. From 1978 to 2011, France's nuclear giant Areva, now called Orano, operated in the area under a subsidiary. A 10-year plan is underway to secure the partially radioactive waste. Despite worry among residents, the manager for the redevelopment of the site is reassuring. We'll be on natural doses, lower doses than what can be found in other regions in France or elsewhere in the world. Here, we focused on the exploitation of natural uranium. We don't have artificial radioactivity that will be created by man. We're not on enriched uranium. We're on natural uranium. Orano's plan is to level out the partially radioactive waste deposited under layers of waterproofed clay and sandstone. The aim is to prevent leaks that could enable a cancer-causing radioactive gas to escape. We don't want there to be cracks, openings through which the radon will escape and flood the city. That's the main thing. That's why there have been tests. So far, they're still ongoing. The town of Arlit has a population of 200,000 residents with the surrounding area. The program at one of the world's biggest uranium mines should be backed by air and water monitoring for at least 5 years. There are people 7 kilometers away from the quarries. That's what we have to bear in mind. Everyone is worried. People are sick. Someone who spends 40 years running a uranium chain, how can we say that these people will not get sick? According to the Austria agency, out of 2,000 consultations, their doctors detected a dozen cases of illness which could be attributable to radiation.
Malawi's president appealed on Wednesday for support as he attended the funeral of some of the victims of Cyclone Freddy in southern city of Blantyre. The cyclone has killed at least 225 people in Malawi's southern region, including Blantyre, the country's financial hub. A member of one of the bereaved families said his family lost 14 relatives to the storm. We have been deeply touched by the death of our brother and his wife. He has died along with his 5 male children, another male member of our family together with his wife, and 2 children have also passed, bringing the total number to 14 in our family. According to EU satellite system, over 45,000 people are still holed up in shelters, with about 1,300 square kilometers still underwater. The president has declared 14 days of national mourning with flags flying at half-mast for the first 7 days.
Malawi is in a state of disaster. What Cyclone Freddy has done is to pull us back even when we were trying to rebuild because of past tragedies. And I appeal to the international community to please look at us with such favor because we need help.
Freddy was initially projected to exit back to the sea on Wednesday, but has since waned and is no longer classified as tropical cyclone, according to UN's Weather's Monitoring Center.
Welcome back, and now the rest of the news. In sports news now. The Zambia Under-23 national team has travelled to face Niger in an international friendly before the Total Energies Under-23 AFCON final round first leg qualifier against Egypt. The team left Kenneth Kaunda International Airport in Lusaka aboard Ethiopian Airlines. Oswald Mutapa's side will face Niger on Friday in a friendly that both sides will be using to prepare for their final round qualifier against Egypt and Sudan respectively. Zambia will be away to Egypt for the first leg at the Air Defense Stadium on March 22nd before hosting the Young Pharaohs at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium on March 27. Tickets for the match are on sale from 50 kwacha at CompuTicket and Osho-Pride stores countrywide. And on that sporting item, we wrap up the main news. But before we go, let's look at some of the top stories that made the news. Lusaka City Council as loggerheads with mobile money booth operators. Government announces measures to avoid prison breaks. The Japanese government gifts Zambia $42 million to upgrade health centers on the Copperbelt. Million tons of partially radioactive waste stir up fear in Niger. And it sports Zambia Under-23 to take on Niger in a friendly match. We now look at the Camnet verse of the day coming from Corinthians 13 verse 11. Finally, brothers and sisters, rejoice, strive for full restoration, encourage one another, be of one mind, live in peace, and the God of love and peace will be with you. Thank you so much for watching. On behalf of the entire production and news crew, my name is Louisiana Lupumbwe. Bye for now. God bless and enjoy the rest of our programmings on Camnet TV.